Hi, Zarpado people. Welcome to part 2 of 400 curious facts in 1 hour that definitely will surprise you. Don't forget to subscribe and let's start right now. Hi, Zarpado people. Welcome to part 2 of 400 curious facts in 1 hour that definitely will surprise you. Don't forget to subscribe and let's start right now. The highest scoring match in history was in 2002 when AS Adema beat Stade Olympique Lemierre 149-0 in Madagascar. In the film The Shining, the iconic scene where Jack Nicholson smashes an axe through a door required 60 doors until director Kubrick was satisfied. Weighing 425 pounds at his peak, Eric Scott Esch, known as Butterbean, became the heaviest boxer in boxing history. The Thrust SSC, a British-designed vehicle, holds the record for the fastest land speed, reaching 762 miles per hour in 1997. Angelina Jolie has been a United Nations Goodwill Ambassador since 2001 and has been involved in numerous humanitarian causes around the world. A 1963 Ferrari 250 GTO sold for a staggering $70 million in 2018, making it the most expensive car ever sold. The Komodo Park in Indonesia is home to Komodo dragons, the world's largest lizards. The Toyota Corolla holds the title of the best-selling car in history, with more than 44 million units sold since its launch in 1966. The first bicycle, known as the Dreisiana, or walking machine, was invented in 1817 by German Karl Dreiss. In the movie The Wizard of Oz, the famous dog Toto was a Cairn Terrier named Terry. He also received a salary of $125 a week. Every human being shares approximately 99.9% of their DNA with other humans. That 0.1% difference is responsible for variations in characteristics such as skin, eye, and hair color. Kangaroos are the only animals that cannot go backwards. A hummingbird's heart can beat up to 1,200 times per minute. Manager Arsene Wenger, during his time at Arsenal, was the first to put emphasis on nutrition and physical well-being of players. Nazaré Beach in Portugal has seen some of the world's biggest waves, reaching impressive heights of over 98 feet, attracting surfers. The book In Search of Lost Time by Marcel Proust contains about 9,609,000 characters, making it the longest book in the world. Whitehaven Beach in Australia is famous for its fine white sand, which is made up of 98% silica, a material that does not heat up in the sun. The name Adobe for the famous software company comes from the Adobe Creek River, located behind the home of co-founder John Warnock. Harriet Tubman was an African-American abolitionist who escaped slavery in the United States in 1849. Risking her life to reach freedom via the Underground Railroad, a clandestine network of routes. Praia do Cassino Beach in Brazil is considered the longest beach in the world, approximately 152 miles in length. The actors who voiced Mickey, Wayne Allwine, and Minnie Russi Taylor have married in real life. The heartbeat of a blue whale can be heard from more than 3 kilometers away. Without your pinky finger, you would lose 50% of the strength in your arm. The most important joints that allow you to move your hand and exert force with it depend on it. Facebook's color is not a coincidence. It is due to the color blindness of Mark Zuckerberg, the creator. Blue is one of the colors he sees best, so it was chosen for that reason. Adam D'Angelo was the one behind the design of the popular social network. He took into account Zuckerberg's color blindness when creating the icons. In Japan, you can try more than 200 flavors of Kit Kat. They are created exclusively for different cities. Some sound delicious, like banana or Oreo ice cream. Glass frogs are a species of frog that have transparent skin. This transparency is particularly noticeable in the abdomen, where organs such as the heart, liver, and digestive tract are clearly visible. Nestle has revealed that 1 in 3 students buys Kit Kat before taking an entrance exam, and 1 in 5 brings the bar to the test site. Chameleons have a tongue that can stretch up to twice the length of their body. Chameleons' tongues are a hunting tool that is as fast as it is precise, reaching their target in a fraction of a second, often less than 0.07 seconds. China's WeChat is bigger than Instagram, with around 900 million users. WeChat can be used to perform a variety of actions, including paying bills, managing a medical appointment, buying tickets, food delivery, and more. The golden frog, which lives in Colombia, is one of the most poisonous animals in the world. Its skin contains enough poison to kill 10 adults. The world's oldest photograph shows a man polishing his shoes. The photo depicts an old black and white scene taken in 1838 by Louis Daguerre in Paris. 100 cups of coffee in 4 hours can kill a person. Kawasaki does not only make motorcycles. The company also produces a wide range of products, including aircraft and heavy equipment, as well as motorboats. In addition to roosters, canaries also crow in the early morning to mark their territory. Lapland in Finland is known as the official home of Santa Claus, where there is the Santa's Village to experience the festive atmosphere and meet Santa Claus. In September 2018, Denise Miller-Koronek set the world speed record on a bicycle, reaching 184 miles per hour while pedaling behind a dragster breaking through the wind in the Bonneville Desert, Utah. You have largely inherited your intelligence from your mother. A study has proven that 80% of a baby's cognitive abilities come from their maternal heritage. If a human eye were a camera, it would have around 576 megapixels, making the light detection ability impressive. Ferruccio Lamborghini, the founder of Lamborghini, originally made tractors before entering the automotive industry. Furthermore, Ferruccio decided to create super sports cars after a dispute with Enzo Ferrari over the quality of his cars. Honey never expires. Nissan used the Datsun brand to sell its vehicles in international markets for many decades. But in 1986, the company decided to unify its brand under the Nissan name. A Japanese restaurant in Tokyo, Sukiyabashi Jiro, is famous for having sushi that can cost up to $300 for a single meal. Kopi Luwak coffee, originating in Indonesia, is made using coffee beans that have been ingested and excreted by a civet. Kopi Luwak coffee, due to the process and its rarity, can cost up to $600 per kilo. In China, the first soccer balls were made from sewn clothing that was stuffed with garbage. In Europe, during the Middle Ages, soccer balls were made from inflated pig bladders. Now, 80% of the world's soccer balls are made in Pakistan. On Christmas Island, located in the Indian Ocean, the annual migration of red crabs occurs, where millions of crabs cross roads and head out to sea during the breeding season. Some species of dolphins and birds can sleep with one eye open, allowing them to remain alert for predators while resting. The longest match in tennis history occurred at the 2010 Wimbledon between John Isner and Nicolas Mahut, which lasted 11 hours and 5 minutes and spanned 3 days, with Isner winning. In the film Psycho, in the famous shower scene, the blood used was actually chocolate syrup, as it looked better than fake blood in black and white. The longest recorded fight in boxing history was in 1893 between Andy Bowen and Jack Burke, which lasted 110 rounds and took over 7 hours before being declared a draw due to exhaustion of both boxers. At the 2002 World Cup, Turkish player Hakan Şükür scored the fastest goal in World Cup history 11 seconds into the first half in the group stage match against South Korea. Einstein was known for his disregard for fashion, often going barefoot, and it was said that he preferred not to wear socks because he found them unnecessary. Chris Pratt used to work as a waiter at a pizza parlor in Hawaii before landing his role in Parks and Recreation, which catapulted him to fame. In Japan, it is common for people to work long hours, often well beyond their official workday. Japan has a "don't leave the boss alone in the office" policy, so many employees stay on until their boss leaves. If all bees disappeared, humanity might survive only a few years because of their crucial role in pollinating edible plants. The Maori, the indigenous people of New Zealand, have a traditional greeting called hongi, which involves gently touching noses and foreheads. Irv Gordon set a world record with his 1966 Volvo P1800 by driving more than 3 million miles in this car. In Finland, the sauna is an integral part of the culture, with around 2 million saunas in a country with 5.5 million inhabitants. The most widely spoken language in the world is not English, but Mandarin Chinese, with more than 1.2 billion native speakers. In Australia, there are more kangaroos than people. At any given time, there are an estimated 15,000 planes in the air around the world. Some cities are experimenting with bike lanes made from solar panels to create self-sufficient routes and generate clean energy at the same time. Forest Green Rovers Football Club is building the world's first fully sustainable football stadium, made almost entirely of wood. Bionic bikes are being developed that assist cyclists by using artificial intelligence and built-in electric motors. The hearts of professional cyclists are typically larger than average. During the filming of the Harry Potter film series, around 600,000 wands, 80,000 costumes, and millions of utility parts were used. There are more stars in the observable universe than there are grains of sand on all the beaches on Earth. It is estimated that more than 80% of the world's oceans are still unexplored. In space, there is no concept of sound because there is no air. The Inuit have developed unique ways of dressing to survive in the extreme Arctic climate, using sealskin suits, for example. Starfish can regenerate arms they have lost. Founded in 1088, the University of Bologna in Italy is considered the oldest continuously operating university in the world. Switzerland is famous for its production of high-quality chocolate. The first airplane flew in 1903 aboard Wilbur and Orville Wright, who made 4 short flights in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. The Hernando Siles Stadium in La Paz, Bolivia, sits at an altitude of 12,000 feet above sea level, making it the highest stadium in the world. Venus is the only planet that rotates clockwise. Google Photos was literally created after Jennifer Lopez wore that famous dress at the 2000 Grammys, where so many people searched for her look that the search engine added an image search function. There are 2 countries where you can't buy Coca-Cola, Cuba, and North Korea. McDonald's didn't sell hamburgers in the beginning, it used to sell hot dogs. The island of Faisans changes nationality every 6 months. 6 months it is from Spain and the other 6 from France. China is the country that uses the internet the most, ahead of India or the United States, with 721 million users. To make a kilo of honey, bees must visit 1,440,000 flowers. Barbie's full name is Barbara Millicent Roberts. The name is a tribute to the daughter of Ruth Handler, the inventor of the famous doll. The eyes do more exercises than the legs. The eye moves 100,000 times a day, which is equivalent to walking approximately 50 miles per day. The elephant is a unique animal with 4 knees. There are animals with 2 elbows or 2 knees, but not with 4 knees. On Uranus, a season lasts 21 years, and there are only 2, summer with light and winter with darkness. A person can go a month without food. In contrast, they could only go 7 days without drinking water. Reed Hastings is known as the co-founder of Netflix in 1997 and has served as the company's CEO since its inception. The Black Death was caused by the Yersinia pestis bacteria, spread primarily by fleas on black rats. This plague caused the deaths of between 25 to 30 million people, which was equivalent to between 30% and 60% of the total population of Europe at the time. The first music video broadcast on MTV was Video Killed the Radio Star by the Buggles on August 1st, 1981. Michael Jackson was supposed to be at the Twin Towers on the day of the attack, but he overslept, having performed at Madison Square Garden the day before and was exhausted. MacBooks are not just good computers, they are also great bulletproofs. OK is thought to come from a typo in the Boston Morning Post newspaper in 1839, where it was used as an acronym for all correct, an intentionally incorrect version of all correct. Emperor penguins can cry and show sadness when they lose their mates or babies, displaying strong emotional bonds. Frogs of the genus Lithobates can survive sub-zero temperatures by freezing, allowing them to hibernate in a frozen state. A day on Mars lasts about 24 hours and 39 minutes, just slightly longer than a day on Earth. And this is one of the reasons Mars is of interest to humans. Seahorses are unique in that it is the male who carries and gives birth to the babies, carrying the eggs in a special pouch on his abdomen. Al Pacino's face was Facebook's first logo, but in 2007 the change was made to the original design that remains until now. More stories are shared on Instagram, which is in everyday life. It is estimated that more than 300 billion stories are published per day on the popular photography platform. The letter E is the most used letter in the English language. Despite this, in the novel Gatsby, written by Ernest Vincent Wright in 1939, the letter E does not appear in the entire text. Surprising truth. According to Splash Data, the security expert company, there are 3 password combinations that are most used throughout the world. 123456, password, and 12345. The Coca-Cola company uses about 250 liters of water to produce 1 liter of its product. Koalas can live their entire lives without drinking water. This animal obtains the water it needs from plants rich in liquids, and especially from eucalyptus leaves, which are usually toxic to other species. Launched in 1948, the Vincent Black Shadow was considered the fastest motorcycle in the world for many years, as it could reach speeds of over 118 miles per hour. On 24th October 1857, Nathaniel Creswick and William Press drew up the founding charter of the first football club in history and formed the Sheffield Football Club. Jars of honey that were more than 3,000 years old and in perfect condition have been found in the tombs of the pharaohs of Egypt. Honey never goes bad due to the low percentage of water it contains, which makes it difficult for microorganisms to proliferate. The world's first cell phone weighed 800 grams. The Motorola Dynatac 8000X, considered the first cell phone in history, was a very unergonomic device that weighed more than 28 ounces. In addition, its battery barely lasted an hour when used for conversations. McDonald's in Japan has offered unusual products such as wasabi chicken burgers and a teriyaki McBurger that has gained huge popularity. In 2017, in Italy, the world's longest pizza was made, measuring over 6,500 feet. A gigantic amount of ingredients was used, and it was cooked in just 1 day. The longest goal recorded in professional football was scored by goalkeeper Asmir Begovic at Stoke City in 2013. From space, you can see 15 sunrises and 15 sunsets per day. There are cities in the world where it is forbidden to die, such as Itsukushima Island in Japan, Longyear Bayan in Norway, Falciano del Masico in Italy, and Sarporanx in France. Albert Einstein's parents believed that their son had mental problems. They considered that he had trouble speaking and was not one of the best students. After his death, Einstein's brain was studied by scientists who determined that his neurons were more tightly packed than usual, which could have allowed him to process information more quickly than other people. The oldest football competition in the world is the English FA Cup, founded by C.W. Alcock in 1872. The human eye can distinguish between approximately 10 million different colors. However, many of them are so similar that it is difficult to tell them apart without a reference. The first official football match was played on the 19th of December 1863 in London between the Barnes and Richmond teams, ending in a 0-0 draw. Dogs have around 220 million olfactory receptors in their nose, compared to just 5 million in humans, which gives them such a keen sense of smell. Before her career in country and pop music, Taylor Swift was a child actress who appeared in commercials and small television roles. Few people know that Ronaldinho's older brother Roberto de Assis was a professional footballer, and that Ronaldinho often said that his brother was his biggest inspiration and the one who motivated him to play. The Rally of Finland, known as the fastest rally in the world, is held mainly on gravel roads. It is distinguished by its iconic jumps that allow cars to lift off considerably from the ground. Some have reached more than 33 yards in distance. Tom Hanks is known for being a big fan of collecting vintage typewriters. The Dakar Rally began in 1979 as a race between Paris and Dakar, Senegal. It was conceived by Thierry Sabine, who got lost in the Libyan desert during a motorcycle competition and decided to create a race that would be a real challenge for the riders. The Instagram app was developed in just 8 weeks by its founders, Kevin Systrom and Mike Krieger. Instagram was originally called Bourbon, an app that allowed people to check in at places, but they later focused only on photos. The 1936 Berlin Olympics and Nazi propaganda were used by Adolf Hitler as a means to promote Nazi ideology and Aryan superiority. Despite the propaganda, an African-American athlete, Jesse Owens, won 4 gold medals, challenging the regime's narrative. The name Spotify is a combination of the words spot, place, and identify. Zlatan Ibrahimovic grew up in an immigrant family from Bosnia and Croatia in Sweden, and as a child he collected toy cars, which led to him having a great passion for luxury cars. The first video uploaded to YouTube is called Me at the Zoo and was uploaded by one of his co-founders, Jawed Karim. The video lasts only 18 seconds and was recorded at the San Diego Zoo. Federer is known for his elegance on the court, but few know that he has a charitable foundation that helps underprivileged children in Switzerland and South Africa. In addition, he speaks several languages, including German, French, Italian, and English. During filming, the hobbits in The Lord of the Rings wore prosthetic feet to give them a more realistic look. In the Shire scenes in Lord of the Rings, the production team built hobbit houses to scale. The famous Russian tennis player Maria Sharapova, in addition to being a successful tennis player, Sharapova is also an entrepreneur. She founded her own candy brand, Sugarpova, while still competing on the circuit. The name Nike comes from the Greek goddess of victory, who symbolizes triumph and success in mythology. Nike's famous logo, known as the swoosh, was created in 1971 by a design student named Carolyn Davidson. Davidson was compensated with just $35 at the time, but later received shares in the company when it became a success. Argentine tennis player Del Potro, as a young man, had a broken wrist in an accident and had to wear a splint. Orlando's Walt Disney World is about the size of San Francisco, or 2 Manhattan Islands. The resort occupies around 10,000 hectares. Manny Pacquiao is the only boxer in history to win world titles in 8 different weight classes. In addition to his boxing career, Pacquiao is a political figure in the Philippines. He was elected senator and has worked on education and infrastructure development projects. La Rinconada in Peru is the highest city in the world, situated at over 16,700 feet above sea level. Floyd Mayweather retired with a record of 50-0. In addition, one of his greatest pleasures is gambling, and it has been noted that he has won and lost millions in roulette and boxing. The flag of Nepal is the only national flag that is not quadrangular. Tyson became the youngest heavyweight champion in history at age 20. He is also known for having a collection of exotic birds, especially pigeons, and often appeared in public with a pigeon on his shoulder. In Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, Daniel Radcliffe, who played Harry Potter, was cast at age 11. At nearly 270 years old, Schönbrunn Zoo is the oldest zoo in the world. It is located on the grounds of the famous Schönbrunn Palace in Vienna, the capital of Austria, and was founded as a menagerie in 1752. In the series The Breaking Bad, the character of Walter White, played by Bryan Cranston, was originally set to die in season 5. Bryan Cranston, who played Walter White in the series The Breaking Bad, underwent a noticeable change between seasons. To show the deterioration of his character, Cranston lost 50 pounds in recognition of the character's evolution following his cancer diagnosis. Netflix began as a mail-order DVD rental service. Its founders were looking for an alternative to establishments that rented movies for 48 hours and charged excessive fines. However, the company changed its model to streaming in 2007, but found success and global expansion when Blockbuster went bankrupt in 2010. About 54% of Netflix users share their account or password with other people. Johnny Depp based his portrayal of Captain Jack Sparrow partly on the famous rock star Keith Richards, who is part of the Rolling Stones. In the Apple brand, all iPhone ads mark the time 9:41. This is because that is exactly the time when Steve Jobs introduced it during his famous conference at Macworld in 2007. Mongolia is the country with the lowest population density in the world, with 1.99 inhabitants per square kilometer. During the military dictatorship in Argentina, Mercedes Sosa's songs were banned, and she had to seek refuge in Europe. Sharks have been around longer than trees, with sharks appearing about 400 million years ago, while trees appeared about 350 million years ago. The oldest known email was sent by Ray Tomlinson in 1971. He was also the one who suggested using the @ symbol to separate the username from the network name. The smallest hamster in the world is just 1 inch long and is the pygmy hamster, also known as the desert hamster. Pilots and co-pilots eat different meals to prevent both from getting food poisoning from contaminated food. William Henry Harrison had the shortest presidential term in American history, dying of pneumonia just 31 days after taking office in 1841. In addition, his inauguration in 1841 that year was one of the longest in history, and he gave a 2-hour inaugural address in the rain without wearing a coat, which is believed to have contributed to his illness. The weight of a whale's tongue and an elephant's tongue are the same, which is around 13,700 pounds. Walt Disney took a very high gamble with Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, having to borrow money to finish the film and mortgage his house to help finance it. In the 1940s, Disney owed more than $4 million, but Cinderella financially bailed out the studio after it became a huge hit in 1950. Nelson Mandela, before becoming president of South Africa, spent 27 years in prison for his fight against apartheid. He was released in 1990 and then became the first democratically elected president of South Africa in 1994. Currently, Disney's most expensive film is Pirates of the Caribbean, on Stranger Tides, released in 2011, which cost $410 million. In second place is Avengers, which cost $370 million and earned more than $1.4 billion worldwide. Before these hits, Pirates of the Caribbean, At World's End, and Tangled were the most expensive Disney movies, with $300 million and $260 million invested, respectively. Vladimir Putin has practiced judo since childhood and has the rank of 8th Dan in Kyokushin karate. Croatian player Luka Modric had a very hard childhood due to the war process of independence that was taking place in his country, where his entire family was always harassed by the rebels of the time, which resulted in him being a child witnessing the murder of his grandfather, who was the light of his eyes. With more than 114,000 seats available throughout its length, the largest stadium in the world is located in the capital of North Korea, Pyongyang, called Runggrado 1st of May. Max Verstappen holds the current record for tire changes in the pits, which was 1.82 seconds during the Brazilian GP in 2019, a race which the Dutchman won. The Beatles song Dr. Robert is believed to be a reference to Bob Dylan, who first supplied them with marijuana. In 2014, there was a Tinder match in Antarctica. Two researchers met on the global dating app in the most remote part of the world. Barack Obama won 2 Grammy Awards for narrating his audiobooks. There is a fruit that tastes like chocolate pudding called black sapote, which tastes like chocolate. Queen Elizabeth II had a background in mechanics. At 16, she joined the British Labour Exchange and learned the basics of truck repair. Although Centipede's name says they have 100 legs, the truth is that they have approximately 30. The word cemetery comes from the Greek koimeterion, which means bedroom. According to Christian beliefs, bodies sleep in the cemetery until the day of resurrection. Elephants think that humans are adorable. Part of the brain of these animals lights up when they see us. The construction of a Formula One car is equivalent to almost 10 million euros, adding up all its parts. The most valuable is, without a doubt, the engine, which can cost up to 4 million euros. There is a phobia of small hole patterns, and it is called trypophobia. It is an aversion to the sight of a group of small holes, such as those seen in honeycombs, anthills, etc. Crocodiles cannot stick out their tongues. The longest attack of hiccups lasted 68 years. Charles Osborne from Iowa had to suffer it in 1893. He lived peacefully until he had an accident in 1922 that caused him to live with hiccups for the rest of his life. In Formula One, the number 13 is hardly used. Why? Because historically, whoever has worn the number 13 in F1 has ended badly. In 1925, Paul Tochnyi died in a race with the number 13. F1 only allows you to choose between the numbers 2 and 99, while the number 1 is reserved for the current world champion, although its use is not mandatory. Octopuses are considered one of the most intelligent animals in the ocean. They can solve complex problems, use tools, and have long-term memory. By just adding a code, you can see Mark Zuckerberg's profile on Facebook. You just have to add /4 to the facebook.com URL, and it will take you to Mark Zuckerberg's profile. Crocodiles are capable of making sounds that may seem like laughter when they are excited, but in reality, they are manifesting territoriality or attracting their partners. HTC was the first creator of applications, taking a risk together with Samsung to launch the first app on the market, which were Google Maps navigation and the popular game Angry Birds. The blobfish is a type of fish that has the ability to inflate its body to appear larger to predators. Isaac Newton was featured in the first Apple logo. The physicist could be seen under a tree with apples. In Cleveland, Ohio, it is illegal to hunt mice without a license. This is because they have a law that protects the life and integrity of these small rodents. Anteaters eat more than 35,000 ants a day. BMW started selling cars after the defeat in World War I. It started selling airplanes, light aircraft, and even helicopters. Sharks can lose up to 30,000 teeth in their lifetime and have a constant supply of replacement teeth. Honda started making bicycle engines before it started making motorcycles. Sea urchins have an organ called Aristotle's lantern in their mouth, which is made of 5 teeth and allows them to scrape food from rocks, such as algae and other small organisms. Ducati was originally founded in 1926 as a radio company, but after World War II, it began manufacturing motorcycles using manufacturing technology from its radios, leading to the development of the iconic Ducati Cucciolo. Hummingbirds are the only birds that can fly backwards, and their rapid wing beat rate can reach up to 80 times per minute. The match played in Argentina between Claypole and Victoriano Arenas is believed to have been the most sent-off game in football history, with a total of 36 red cards issued by referee Damian Rubino after the pitch battle that broke out on the pitch after the match had finished. The Mercedes brand takes its name from the daughter of Emil Jelinek, a car dealer for the company, whose daughter was named Mercedes. In addition to changing color to camouflage themselves, chameleons can also change color in response to their mood, body temperature, and other emotions. For example, a chameleon can become brighter and more vibrant when it feels excited or threatened. The worst tragedy in the history of football occurred in 1964 in Lima, in a match between Peru and Argentina, in which they were playing for qualification for the Tokyo Olympics. Near the end, a disallowed goal for the home team sparked a pitched battle in the stands, with a catastrophic end result. More than 300 dead. The Volkswagen brand, which means people's car, was founded in 1937 by the Nazi government to create an affordable car. The anteater has no teeth, but its long tongue is effective enough to catch the ants and termites it gobbles up every day. The first Land Rover was initially designed as a military vehicle in 1948. The name of the famous company Land Rover is composed of land, which means land, due to its focus on durable vehicles, and Rover was the name of the company that the founders, the Wilkes brothers, worked for. Formula One drivers lose between 6.6 and 11 pounds per race. The forces to which the drivers are constantly subjected, plus the high temperatures in the cockpit, causes a loss of up to 1,500 calories in the most challenging tests. The first product sold on the internet was a pizza. This credit goes to the well-known chain Pizza Hut, which has been selling pizzas online since 1994. McDonald's was the first fast food chain to open in the former Soviet country in 1990 and became a symbol of Russia's openness to Western brands and fast food culture. When flamingos stand on one leg, it's because they're trying to conserve body heat, as their body is less efficient at it. Subaru is a Japanese company that has its origins in the Nakajima Aircraft Company, which was the main aircraft manufacturer for the Japanese Army during World War II. Subaru means star in Japanese and refers to the 6 stars in the brand's logo, which represent the companies that merged to form Fuji Heavy Industries, the former name for Subaru. Before making cars, Peugeot made coffee grinders and cutting tools. In Finnish schools, there are no standardized tests until the last years of high school. Meryl Streep has learned more than 20 accents for her films, including German and Polish. KFC's fried chicken recipe, which includes 11 herbs and spices, is one of the best-kept secrets in the business world. Only a handful of employees know the original recipe. The record for the highest temperature ever recorded on Earth was at Furnace Creek Ranch in Death Valley, California, reaching 134 degrees Fahrenheit in 1913. In the 1950 World Cup, which was held in Brazil, balls without any technical specifications were used. Each team had to bring its own ball, and this made each game different. Dolphins use whistles to communicate with each other. Each dolphin has an acoustic name in the form of a whistle, which helps them identify and call each other. Jennifer Lopez is a great lover of cooking and has appeared on several cooking shows. India has 22 official languages recognized by the Constitution, but more than 1,600 different languages are spoken throughout its territory. Koala fingerprints are almost identical to human fingerprints. Mount Everest is not the highest mountain from the center of the Earth, as that title goes to Mount Chimborazo in Ecuador due to the Earth's oblong shape. The Romans pioneered wine production, and Roman engineers invented wooden barrels, which revolutionized the way wine is stored and transported. Human skin is home to over 1,000 different types of bacteria, although most are harmless. Hazard grew up in a family of footballers. Both his father and mother played football professionally, which went on to influence his career as a footballer. Glaciers in the European Alps are retreating at an alarming rate, having lost approximately 50% of their mass over the past 150 years. After retiring from football, Thierry Henry became a commentator and has worked as a coach, as well as being technical director for Belgium's under-21s. The color red has been shown to increase appetite. So many restaurants use it in their decor. Science says that about 95% of our dreams are forgotten shortly after we wake up. Cows have been shown to produce more milk when they listen to soft music. The word set holds the record for being one of the most complex words in the English language. With over 430 different meanings, depending on the context in which it is used. Some butterflies have a tongue that can be 12 inches long, allowing them to feed on flowers with deep nectar. At Oxford University, one of the teaching methods includes one-on-one tutoring, where students receive personalized attention. Poland relies heavily on coal for power generation, which has led to conflicts with European Union policies on carbon emission reduction. Originating in Switzerland, St. Bernards were originally bred to rescue people trapped in the snow in the mountains. The University of Florida has a prominent program that helps students find jobs, and more than 90% of its undergraduate graduates are employed. Beagles have one of the best senses of smell and are frequently used in airports to detect drugs and explosives. Harvard is known for its high competitiveness. Less than 5% of applicants are accepted each year, making admission a very rigorous process. Border Collies are extremely energetic and hardworking in herding duties and require a lot of mental and physical exercise. Cambridge University, founded in 1209, includes the famous college system where students live and study. Most people have vague memories of early life, which is known as infantile amnesia. The name Camp Nou, which means new field in Catalan, was adopted in 2000. It was previously called the Stadium of FC Barcelona. The Spanish national anthem, the Marcha Real, has no lyrics. There are 4 anthems without lyrics: the Spanish one, the ones of Bosnia and Herzegovina, Kosovo, and San Marino. The Eiffel Tower can be taller in summer as iron expands in the heat, which can make the Eiffel Tower grow about 6 inches on hot days. The first football match broadcast on television was a friendly between Arsenal and Arsenal reserves in 1937 in England. Australia, at 2,485 miles east to west, is wider than the moon. The Copa America, the oldest national team tournament, was first held in 1916 and was originally called the Campeonato Sudamericano. It has become an essential event in the South American football calendar. The last letter added to the English alphabet was J. Rugby has its roots in a game of football played at rugby school in England in 1823 by student William Webb Ellis. Ketchup was sold as a medicine. The condiment was prescribed and sold to people with indigestion in 1834. An ostrich's eye is larger than its brain. In 1980, rugby introduced the use of a tee for kicks, as previously players had to hold the ball in one hand or ask a teammate for help. In its lifetime, a worker bee can travel a total of 25 miles. The term ping pong was registered as a trademark by the British company Yox & Sons in 1901. Ants never sleep. The name ping pong is due to the sonority of the sounds the ball makes when hit: ping when hitting the racket, and pong when hitting the table. The giant Ferris wheel in Vienna's Prater Park, known as Riesenrad, dates back to 1897. The first Grand Prix in Formula One history was held in 1950 at Silverstone in the UK and was won by Italian Giuseppe Farina. A pangram is a phrase that contains all the letters of the alphabet at least once. The most famous in English is "The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog." The Potomsky crater, located in Siberia and discovered in 1949, has an unusual and distinctive shape that has sparked much speculation about its origin. The first concrete stadium in South America was opened in 1928 and belongs to the Club Atlético Independiente. The first alarm clocks were people. Their job was to wake up workers in the early hours of the morning so they could get to the factories on time. Carrots were not always orange. In the old days, they were purple on the outside and white on the inside. The first orange carrot was artificially produced in Holland in the 16th century to match the color of the Dutch royal house. The heart beats about 11,000 times a day. That is an average of 80 times per minute, or about 42 million times a year. During exercise or stressful situations, the heart can beat much faster to meet the body's increased oxygen demands. A person will die faster from lack of sleep than from lack of food. The game Monopoly was created by an anti-capitalist who wanted to show how unfair capitalism was. American doctors did not use anesthesia on babies until the 1980s, as they thought that babies were not capable of feeling pain. Lina Medina, a Peruvian girl, became the youngest person to give birth to a live baby in 1938 at just 5 years old. Before she was famous, Lady Gaga was hired as a songwriter for established artists, like Britney Spears and the Pussycat Dolls. All the clocks in Pulp Fiction read 4:20, a detail meticulously crafted by director Quentin Tarantino. This choice is no coincidence. It is interpreted as a nod to cannabis culture, as 420 is a widely recognized reference among marijuana lovers that indicates the time of consumption. Women blink twice as often as men. The Sahara is the largest desert in the world outside the poles and spans an area of approximately 35 million square miles. Jordan retired from basketball in 1993 to pursue a career in baseball. He played for the Birmingham Barons, a team affiliated with the Chicago White Sox, but returned to basketball in 1995. When Michael Jordan returned to the Chicago Bulls, he led the team to 3 consecutive NBA championships in 1996, 1997, and 1998. Although Africa is known for its warm climate, it has glaciers on Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania, which is famous not only for being the highest mountain in Africa, with an elevation of 19,340 feet, but also for its glaciers at the top. Michael Jordan signed with Nike in 1984. The company expected to sell only $3 million worth of Air Jordan sneakers in the first 4 years, but instead they sold $126 million in the first year. Amsterdam in the Netherlands is famous for its cycling culture. More than 60% of trips in the city are made by bike, and there are more bikes than people in the city. NBA legend Shaquille O'Neal has released several rap albums and starred in films such as Grown Ups. The lowest temperature ever recorded on Earth was negative 128.2 degrees Fahrenheit at the Soviet Vostok station in Antarctica. In some parts of the world, such as Honduras, phenomena known as fish rains have been recorded. The monarch butterfly is famous for its migration of thousands of miles from North America to Mexico each year. The fastest goal in football history was scored by Uruguayan Ricardo Oliveira, 2.8 seconds into the game in 1998. The island of the dolls in Mexico is filled with dolls hanging from trees and buildings. In The Lord of the Rings, and the Elvish language spoken by the characters was created specifically for the film. The first basketball game took place on December 21st, 1891. 9 players were used on each team, and the final score was 1-0. The first point ever scored and the only one of the game was scored by William R. Chase. Originally, basketballs were brown. In 1950, Tony Hinkle introduced the orange ball to make it more visible to players and spectators. Scott Skiles holds the record for most assists in a single NBA game, with 30 assists in 1990 playing for the Orlando Magic. In an early version of the script for Frozen, Elsa was the main villain of the story and not a harmless heroine, but later her character was completely redesigned. In the movie Ghostbusters, the green goo used as ectoplasm was actually creamed corn. Actors constantly complained about the smell and texture. In the 1994 World Cup in Brazil, Colombia was eliminated in the group stage, partly due to pressure on player Andres Escobar, who was killed shortly after a match. Elephants are able to hear with their feet thanks to the sensitivity of their legs to detect vibrations in the ground. The famous singer David Bowie had one eye of each color. Most frogs can see in the dark. J.K. Rowling, before finding success with Harry Potter, lived in poverty and wrote the first book in coffee shops while caring for her daughter. A bee can visit more than 2,000 flowers in a single day. Nicolas Cage is a passionate collector of dinosaur replicas. Although polar bears have white fur, their skin is actually black. So far, the Bugatti Chiron Super Sport 300 Plus is one of the fastest production cars in the world, reaching a top speed of 304 miles per hour. The Aldabra tortoise is known for its longevity and can reach the age of 200 years. Although it may be surprising, the first electric cars appeared in the 19th century. Thomas Davenport built a small electric vehicle as early as 1834, becoming the first electric car in history. Humpback whales are known for their complex song, which they use to communicate and attract mates. At 9 years old, Pablo Picasso had already painted his first major work. The lanternfish has organelles that have bioluminescence in its body. These organs allow them to emit light to attract prey or confuse predators. Lake Baikal in Siberia, Russia, is the deepest lake in the world at 5,387 feet deep. In addition, Lake Baikal contains about 20% of the world's unfrozen fresh water. Flamingos are originally white. Their pink color is due to their diet rich in beta-carotene. New Zealand is one of the few countries in the world where wild snakes do not exist. Jorge Luis Borges began to lose his sight in his 30s and became completely blind in the 1950s, but he continued to write and dictate his works. Ethiopia uses its own calendar, based on the ancient Coptic calendar, which has 13 months, 12 months of 30 days, and an extra month of 5 or 6 days. Shakira speaks 5 languages: Spanish, English, Portuguese, Italian, and Arabic. The Euro Cup was created to celebrate the collaboration between European nations after the war. Michael Jackson began his musical career at the age of 6 as part of the Jackson 5 with his brothers and became a worldwide phenomenon. The first fully computer-generated film was Toy Story in 1995. The Great Wall of China is not a single, continuous structure, but a series of walls and fortifications. In The Lion King, there is a moment where you can see the word sex written in the sky. The Great Pyramid of Giza is estimated to have been built from over 2 million stone blocks. During the filming of The Avengers, Thor and Loki often improvised. In 1 hour, the Earth receives enough sunlight to meet all the energy humanity consumes in a year. Michael Keaton, who played Batman, was initially criticized for being a comedy actor. A sneeze can travel at a speed of up to 99 miles per hour. The jellyfish Turritopsis dohrnii can reverse its life cycle to the polyp state, allowing it to potentially live indefinitely. The first vehicle with an internal combustion engine was built by Carl Benz in 1885. This was called the Benz Patent Motor Wagon and is considered the first automobile in history. Before she was famous, Katy Perry released a Christian music album under her real name, Katie Hudson. Lionel Messi left for Barcelona at the young age of 13. Also, as the club was unsure of his potential due to his short stature, his initial contract was signed on a paper napkin. Antarctica does not have official timetables due to its location at the ends of the planet. However, the timetables of international scientific bases that operate according to the time of their home countries are used. The Sonoran Desert in Mexico is the natural habitat of the saguaro. This one is famous as it can grow up to 39 feet tall and live for more than 150 years. Pedals on bicycles were not introduced until 1863. The first bicycles with pedals were known as velocipedes. Footprints left by astronauts on the moon will remain there for millions of years because there is no wind or water to erase them. A shrimp's heart is located in its head. At birth, humans have about 300 bones. But as we grow, some fuse together, and as adults, we only have 206. The surface temperature of the sun is about 9,932 degrees Fahrenheit. However, at its core, it can reach up to 59 million degrees. There is an International Sleep Day celebrated on the 3rd Friday of March every year. In the state of Maharashtra, India, there is a village called Shani Shingnapur, famous for not having doors on the houses, as the inhabitants believe that their local god, Shani, protects the village from theft. Giraffes sleep an average of only 4.6 hours a day. Although called chocolate, White chocolate actually contains no cocoa solids, which are essential for making traditional chocolate. Tonga is one of the few countries in the world that has never been colonized. All clownfish are born male, but can change to female if the dominant female dies. Germany is the country with the most bridges in the world, with Hamburg having over 2,500. The ancient Mayans used cocoa beans as currency. The peregrine falcon is the fastest animal in the air, being able to reach speeds of up to 241 miles per hour. Seismic activity on the moon, known as moonquakes, is much milder and less frequent than earthquakes on Earth. Papua New Guinea is the most linguistically diverse country in the world, with more than 800 living languages spoken on its territory. The quahog clam of the Atlantic Ocean is the longest-lived animal known. One specimen was found that was approximately 507 years old, making it one of the oldest living things on the planet. The ancient Incas made mirrors from obsidian, a volcanic rock. Although the sun appears yellow from Earth, it is actually white. The Earth's atmosphere scatters the sun's light, making it appear yellow or orange, especially at sunrise and sunset. British explorer Percy Fawcett disappeared in 1925 while searching for a lost city in the Amazon rainforest, known as the City of Z. In ancient Rome, there was a belief that eating rabbit made women more fertile. Adelie penguins, which live in Antarctica, court their mates by offering stones as gifts. Japanese Tsutomu Yamaguchi survived the explosions of the two atomic bombs in 1945, first in Hiroshima and then in Nagasaki. Rhodium is the most expensive metal in the world, surpassing gold and platinum. It is extremely rare and is mainly used in automotive catalytic converters to reduce harmful emissions. The Pirahan language, spoken by a tribe in the Amazon rainforest, is considered one of the most difficult in the world due to its complex tonal structure. In the city of Kotor, Montenegro, cats are so loved that they even have their own museum. An aerogel is an extremely light synthetic substance composed of 99.8% air. Some species of ants create living bridges with their bodies to cross large spaces between tree branches or over water. The African lungfish can survive out of water for months. France is the country with the most time zones in the world, a total of 12, due to its territories scattered across the globe. The coconut crab, also known as the robber crab, is the largest terrestrial arthropod in the world, as it can measure up to 1 yard in length. The Great Barrier Reef in Australia is the largest structure in the world, made of living organisms. The blue whale is the largest animal that has ever existed on Earth, as it can measure up to 33 yards in length and weigh up to 200 tons. The most widely spoken language in the world is English, with more than 1.5 billion speakers, followed by Mandarin Chinese. Although pice is usually rounded to 3.14159, it is actually an irrational number that goes on infinitely without repeating. What facts surprised you the most? Leave your opinion in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more Zarpado content.